All right, so welcome to another interview. We're here with Kat from Miss Excel. So Kat here, I saw some article about you on CNBC. I have to think that helped you out significantly.
I mean, those articles are always great, definitely for bringing in corporate clients.
So the background, really quick before I let her do that, is she teaches people Excel and she makes multiple seven figures doing it.
It's incredible.
In the article, so that's why I bring it up. But please tell everybody, how did it come about? Because it wasn't like you sat out there and said, I'm going to do this right now. It was kind of, you fell into it. So why don't you go ahead and explain to our viewers, who are 96% men, by the way. So for the 4% of women out there who are watching, take some drive from this woman. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I started the accounts back in June of 2020. And before that, I was working at a consulting firm doing securitization reviews for banks. And on the side of my day job there, I was also hosting Microsoft Excel trainings internally for the company because it was something I just always loved to do. So they had me flying around the US hosting these trainings. And then around June of 2020, I had stopped traveling with everything going on with the pandemic and found myself back in my childhood bedroom of my parents' house with some time on my hands. I was like, I'm not traveling anymore. I was buried in student debt, so I'd never moved out. And I had flown and traveled every week, so it didn't really make sense to move out at that point. And I was like, all right, what am I doing with my life? I'm 27 years old. This whole securitization reviews thing is not really lighting me up, right? I'm much more of a creative being. I wanted to have some outlet for my creativity. And I have this Excel skill set. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to start silently posting these on TikTok and see what happens. I didn't even have a TikTok account before that, but I quick opened up the app and looked around and saw no one was doing it. So I was like, all right, either the people on TikTok just don't like Excel or no one's thought of it yet. So I started posting one video each day. And by the fourth video, it hits over 100,000 views. And then by the sixth video, the CEO of an IT company reaches out and is like, hey, I love your teaching style. I'm building out content for G Suite products for students, parents, and teachers because this when all the schools were going digital. He's like, I love your style. Can I hire you as a freelancer? So at that point, I take the side hustle. I'm still working my day job. I'm still making the Miss Excel content every night after work as well. So I'm kind of like balancing the three. And by, about 3 weeks later, I had my first video go viral on TikTok. And next thing you know, I looked down at my phone and I had 100,000 followers and was like,
whoa.
And it happened in like a day. So at that point,
you probably thought that was a glitch.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, who are all these people? And then, so at that point, I started broadening it out a bit, right? Because everything's going on in the news about, TikTok might get banned in the US, all of that. I'm like, I got to hedge my risk over here. So I whip out an Instagram account and then I kept going viral between Instagram, TikTok. Then I added in LinkedIn, Twitter. We just started YouTube Shorts. So I extended the brand and just kept growing this following. And then around November of 2020, so a few months later, I built out my first Microsoft Excel course. And I was like, how can I make this subject so engaging and so fun? Because you've seen my content. Your girl cannot have a boring course after all that.
No,
so I was like, all right, I'm going to infuse this with as much fun and creativity as possible. So I whip out this course. And within 2 months, it starts bringing in more passive income than my day job was at that point.
Within 2 months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone was really waiting for this course. So by the time I launched it, it just kind of popped off.
That's awesome.
And at that point, I'm like, well, my day job takes 40 hours a week. Miss Excel takes like 10. I should reprioritize. So that's when I quit my job to work on TikTok, as they quoted. It was always that funny exit interview. Like, where are you going? I'm like, to my own company. What are you doing? I'm teaching Microsoft Excel on TikTok.
So the funny thing is, you can't, if I'm correct, you can't monetize on TikTok. TikTok doesn't actually pay you. That's right, isn't it?
So, I believe the apps do pay certain creators, like if you join their programs.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's not really where it comes from. It's from the course sales.
It's from the courses,
I also do live corporate training experiences. So all different Fortune 500 companies, all different types of companies bring me in to host these fun 60-minute trainings. So that's another aspect of what I do. So it's on-demand courses and that.
That's awesome. So you're obviously very good at Excel, and I don't really focus on that because Listen, I like Excel. I'm good at it, but I'm not, I had a friend of mine who was an investment banker 15, 20 years ago. And I saw him in Excel. I was like, oh my, like he's faster in Excel doing functions than I am typing. And I type like 100 plus words a minute. So I was like, dude, you're insane. So when you did this, like at what point, I know you sat there and said, well, my TikTok income, my sales of my course started to beat my day job. Was it immediately then you're like, I got to leave? Or was it kind of like, could this be a fluke? Could it not be a fluke? Like, what was going through your head when that was happening?
Intuitively, I just knew like that was the right path for me. I have this view on entrepreneurship where really to me, all it is taking the bet on yourself. And I knew I wasn't going to give up on myself. No matter what happened, I would figure it out. So at that point, I'm like, if it's taking the bet on me, I'm taking it and I'm just going to go for it. And I remember trying to explain this to like my poor mother who was like, you're going to like not have health insurance and benefits and 401k. Like, what are you going to do?
Obsessed with that? Older people love health insurance.
Yeah, they're like, literally all the older
the end all be all.
They love it. They love it. So I was like, Mom, I'm going to make so much money. It's not going to matter. It's going to be okay. And I ended up retiring my mom like within a year later.
Oh, good for you.
And like spun it around. Yeah. So it just really like, I knew something massive would happen. If I like gave myself that time back in my week, I'm like, I'd be dangerous with 40 hours back in my week. Like I was doing this at night. And then that's where the business really took off. I built out 9 more courses across the Microsoft Office suite, started scaling it with webinars, and the whole thing kind of scaled to 7 figures pretty quickly.
Wow. So do you have any monthly plan sales, or is it all like one-off courses?
So typically when I host my webinars, I could kind of guarantee those sales. Like it's pretty consistent. I work with affiliates now too, who actually, I went to my competitors who didn't have courses and was like, hey, I want to sell my courses. And we host events together and I split that with them. So that's been another really big revenue stream with that there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of companies will bring me on for multiple trainings too. So, some companies will book like 10 at a time where I come in, every month and host these fun sessions. So kind of depends.
Oh, that's great. So was this your first time being an entrepreneur, or had you tried anything in the past and maybe, it didn't work or it did work? What's your history on that one?
So, in examining my childhood over the years, I realized I've kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit the whole time. Like I was having these flashbacks in kindergarten. I was selling those little paper fortune tellers in the cafeteria for like a quarter and got in trouble. And then in 3rd grade, I made a newspaper and was trying to sell it door to door. And then fast forward to college. In college, I was going to thrift stores and I realized that like kids sizes like 14, 16 equate to like a women's 02. So I started taking these kids' clothes, which are like $3 at a thrift store, cutting the legs off the jeans, making those high-waisted jean shorts that were trending. And I was bleaching them, studying them, dyeing them, running that out of my backyard when I was like home in the summer between college, selling those on an Etsy site. I've always kind of been doing things, like. So
you took away the opportunity for poor people to have clothing so that you can make money. Is that the recap of that one right there?
No. Just spreading the shorts. Actually, it was best that they all fit me and were in my size at the time.
No, that's incredible.
It wasn't my big hit of a business.
And that's what's great. Like, that small thing, like you start to think about the past going, wait, I did this. Yeah, I had some entrepreneurship in me.
I did these little things. Yeah, it's a common theme that you hear, especially when we watch Shark Tank.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a common thing that you hear about those kind of entrepreneurs.
So has it been straight up? Has it been, I mean, obviously, when you go viral, it's like, it's an immediate jump. But, tell us the path and, but first off, actually, is it just you or do you have a team behind you doing anything?
So for the first year and a half, I was a one-woman show. So I was doing customer service for over 10,000 students at the time. I was video editing every single video. I have 100 video courses. So I taught myself how to video edit, built out 10 of those. Like when I get into a flow state, I could just crank stuff out. I was cranking out a course a week between designing it, filming it for 2 days, edit for 3, post on the last day.
Wow.
And I just cranked them out because I knew people wanted them. But I started off one-woman show in it for a while. And then as things started to become a lot, like as, we got more and more course members, I was like, okay, we need customer service help. And I brought on a remote team. So I have 3 part-time remote employees. And then I also have my boyfriend with me full-time now. So he was a #1 ranked sales rep at Enterprise. And so I was like, well, what if you took that skill set and started selling corporate sales over here?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it's been
That's
so
awesome.
nice. We've been doing that for the last like 6 months, and he doubled our corporate side of sales already.
Oh, wow.
Between the two of us, we're a great team.
Well, the most important question Mo and I have is, when he does a good job, do you tell him good boy, or do you just say, hey, thanks?
I hope
He
it's
knows
the former.
that he does well.
Oh, well, you should incorporate that into your language. See how it goes.
Yeah, just say good boy. So my fiance, I'm not allowed to say good girl, but she says good boy to me all the time. It actually makes me laugh all the time. But so I like the fact you're doing corporate stuff too, because even though personal stuff is phenomenal, and I mean, I actually thought about taking a course and saying, listen, there's probably I want more an advanced course, but there's still tons of stuff I probably don't know.
I mean, you always say that we have a good friend. He's better at Excel than you say. I mean, you could probably get to his level if you took something like this. Yeah.
And he's got a statistical background, but I thought to myself, like, maybe I should sign up for the course, but really my fiance needs it because she's, I
am going to sign up for one of your courses.
Yeah, because today she's like,
send me your emails. I got you, team. Send me your emails.
Listen, I would love to sign up Lisa for it, but unfortunately, I don't think Lisa would follow through on doing it. Not because it's against her. It's just she says she wants to do it, but she really doesn't. She said, "Where's the budget? Because we're renovating a house. Where's the budget for the house?" I sent it to you twice. Where? It's in Excel. I sent it to you. She's like, "Oh, let me check into that one." We're gonna have the exact same. So it's like I don't mind it. I love doing Excel. I think it's a great way to organize things. In fact, it's ironic. We have software we sell. That started because I had an Excel sheet that was linked to a data provider that analyzed stocks for me personally. And then it just became people saying, hey, how do I get that Excel sheet? I'm like, well, you can't get it. You have to have the data feed. And then I said, wait a second, why don't we just we'll just take the data feed and make it into software. So the Excel thing is people don't understand how useful Excel can be. And by the way,
very powerful tool.
That's the thing. Even moms, like, I don't want to, like, you don't have to be a corporate person. Moms and dads can use it every single day for organizing budgets, activity, things like that. So from your experience on Excel, what's your typical client look like?
So for me, it's typically people age like 25 to 35. They're in corporate typically, but that could be so many different views though. Like we sell courses to the government, to, the military, to teachers, to colleges, universities bring me in, I've even taught Excel at Microsoft before, like all different companies bring me in.
Are you like the only game in town or is there competitors to you if you're just the top dog?
I think what I do is I just do it differently.
You do. I mean, it seems like you're doing it.
Well, first off, her name is great. Miss Excel.
Miss Excel.
I know it sounds lame, but Miss Excel, I saw that. I was like, that's brilliant. Like, just Miss Excel. Like, there's no question what you do. It's like, this is it. Miss Excel. This is what I am.
Yeah. All of a sudden, I woke up one day at 6 a.m., like 2 days before I made the account, and was like, I have the name. It's Miss Excel. And my boyfriend's like, what? And I'm like, Miss Excel. And then I looked and the handles were open and I was like, I'm going for it. Like, it just seemed so right, I
liked your one course. It was something excellence, but it was like Excel. And I was like, Accelerator. That's what it was. That's pretty clever.
Yeah, thank you.
So even though you're Miss Excel, are there plans to do Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, things like that? Of course.
They have you have one on your website, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that on the site.
They have a total
Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, Teams. I also have a Google Sheets course and I have a student course for.
So that was my next question. Do you do Google? Because I still prefer Excel to Google Drive and Google Sheets. I look at it going, no, this is still more powerful. It's more intuitive to me, but that's good. I'm glad you do that. That's all. So what about, again, outside of even that, are there other areas you're like, I think Photoshop. I don't know if you're into Photoshop. I mean, are there other things like that you're doing?
I think the next set after I do Power BI, I'm doing a little more in the Microsoft space. And then probably next set is going to get more into like mindset, entrepreneurship. That is where I'm getting so many people reaching out, asking for a product, and I don't have it yet. So that's when the one thing I get emails pretty much every day of people being like, can you coach me? Can we do this?
So you know what we need to do? You know what you do with her? What percentage of your clients are female?
On the client side, I'm not as sure, but I know from an audience perspective, it does skew female, like 65%.
So the issue we have is, first off, even though women like to spend a lot of money, I actually think they're better at managing money than men. And 96% of our viewers are men, though. And it's always funny because I'm like, why is it? Oh, like 96%. I'm like, that's just crazy to me. And I do believe in myself. We need to get more women into investing. And, we teach value investing. And like my fiance, she doesn't have a clue. But then when I talk to her, she goes, that makes sense. And I'm like, okay, good. And that's kind of like, these things. And I always like get just absolutely surprised by that. And the reason I asked that is with the name like Miss Excel, I wonder if there's some men out there like, I'm not going to learn from a Miss Excel. Like me, I'd be like, yeah, I don't care. I want to just learn it. So, so 65-35, I thought it would have been higher, to be honest with you.
I thought it would be more also.
Yeah, I thought it'd be like 80-20.
We have a lot of men.
That's great though.
Good.
Yeah. And a lot of my corporate clients too.
Well, of course. What
that helps.
What percent? So like you make a sale. What percent will buy another course down there? Like you know without a month, like I like monthly subscription because it's kind of like this recurring revenue, and you're on the one-off right now. But are there like I said before, are there plans for like a monthly? I don't know how it would work, but then again, when people buy, how often do they come back and rebuy or engage or something like that?
Yeah, we do have a lot of repeat buyers. We also have people that just buy our full suite, which is like a one-time purchase. $9.97.
Nice.
You get access to 8 courses for the price of 1.5 too, when it is on a discounted webinar. So I feel like really most people buy all my courses at once.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And you know, were you a student of ClickFunnels?
So I did have one of my ads teams built out ClickFunnels, but my website isn't built on ClickFunnels.
Well, the reason I ask is they're very big on the blank 7, ending in 7 all the time. Like they're very big on that.
Oh yeah. A business coach gave me those numbers originally. When you divide it in half, it's like 199, 149.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Sevens.
Excellent. So there's no turning back. You don't see. I mean, obviously this thing is hopefully growing like crazy.
This is a career now for you.
Oh yeah. It's been awesome. And I mean, we're just getting started. Like
of course.
I'm just starting to like line things up right now and really optimize the process. Like we've even seen a big jump like this month from last month, just from like starting to tighten things up. So I'm excited on that perspective to just kind of see where it goes.
So when you say that, like tighten things up, like what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, I mean, even like our sales email funnels and things like that, I hired a new company for ads and they've really been already like moving the needle and we didn't even start running the new ads yet. So just even doing things like that, we like 5x'd our post webinar revenue, like for the last set that we did just from changing my email sequence. So like little things like that we're tweaking, we're getting new tracking in, like all different things to really optimize the user experience, the business, underlying like videos when I'm emailing corporate clients. So it's not just like an email, it's like me talking to them and my energy goes through the screen, like things like that. There was just so much. The business grew so fast that like I was just kind of running around trying to like optimize each piece as I went. But now I'm really getting into it and I'm like, okay, how can we make this a well-oiled machine? How can we make this the best it could possibly be? So that's what we've been really focusing on now.
That's incredible. So all these corporate people reached out to you. That first email was a guy saying, hey, come teach my company.
Yeah. So that was for his clients. So his clients were school districts. So he has a platform for school districts. So I was coming in and selling content to him.
So do you have a customization plan for him? Like obviously you're not charging him $9.97 for that, especially when it's going to a big school district. I assume you come up with a separate plan for that.
Well, for my corporate clients now, that was like a one-time thing, right? When I started the business, but now when we bring in corporate clients, we do bulk discounts, we do integrations into learning management systems. So people could white label the courses. And then a lot of people, even if they have Excel courses, they will still bring me on because people aren't actually taking the ones that they have because a lot of them are boring. They're like in, their classic systems and no one really cares. Where if they bring me in, they like hype it up. It's a big event. Like everyone shows up. I can get people to pay attention so they actually learn. And we have fun events.
I would recommend though, to get people's attention, you should be more animated because I don't think you're I don't think you're enthusiastic enough.
Oh yeah, I get that a lot,
I mean, this is, I think, like, so I mean, this is a lot. This is incredible, Tim.
Incredible. So if you're a new person that's never used Excel or very novice in it, what's the course that you recommend taking off the rip?
The first one.
That is the signature course.
And then if you're somebody,
if you've never opened it in your life, you can start with that.
And then somebody like him that is pretty good at Excel, what's the course for them? The advanced?
I would say the advanced accelerator if you're looking to get more into VBA and things. But I have a lot of people who are more intermediate to advanced actually still start at accelerator and pick a lot of things up.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually thought to myself, I'll just start an accelerator and just
breeze through it.
There's probably lots because I do the same things over and over. Yeah. So who knows all the other, there's on Instagram, there's some account that always passes me. It's like, it does something like, I saw my boss doing this and I told him, no, you should do it this way. Yeah. Right. So, but I watch those and I'm like, oh, I never knew you could do that. Yeah. And those are things all my stuff is based on financials.
The same thing.
So I know what I'm doing on all the financials. Right. I'm adding this Excel up and, so, we should do it and just start from the original accelerator.
Yeah, I'm in.
This is all, I mean, listen, we've done a lot of interviews before. We've interviewed some business people. I would have guessed you've been in business for 10 years. I mean, Tim, this is only not even 3 years for her. We can learn a lot from her.
You shocked me when you said you started in 2020.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I was blown away.
I remember reading the article going, 7 figures already. I told my fiance, I'm like, Lise, this lady does, I think you said 2 million a year in revenue off Excel. She goes, how? I'm like, selling courses. She's like, what? I was like, that's the way to, like, that's the thing. It's like, I'm 41. So I'm a little bit on the, it's amazing to me still that, what are you guys laughing about? Well, I meant in the sense of like, I think I'm on the intermediate level of people above me don't really use YouTube a ton. People below me use YouTube a ton. Like I'm really at that cusp of like it literally starts and stops at my age where it's like, Mo's 33. We have friends who are in their 20s and literally every single time they do something, it's let me go to YouTube and figure it out.
Yeah,
let me go to this and figure it out. Or let me go to Instagram or TikTok and figure this thing out.
Yeah, there was something last night that my girlfriend was talking about and I was like, why don't you just go to YouTube? And
his girlfriend, by the way, is my age. Yeah. So that's why he brings that up.
I was like, why don't you go search it on YouTube? She was searching it in Google. I was like, a video would be way more helpful for what you need right now. And it's definitely going to be there.
Oh, 100%.
And it was there.
So, I mean, just in general, like, and I don't mean this question the way I'm going to ask it because that's not the case. When you look at the future for your business, is it like, Paul, this is a stepping stone to something else? Or Paul, this is what I want to do and just grow it? Because I think it's wonderful. And I think the world's only going to get more and more reliant on Excel and all this technology. But, some people say, hey, what I really want to do is this. And I always loved teaching. I used to teach at my high school for free after I graduated on investing. Well, the reason I say that is because that's why it's so easy for me now to teach on YouTube because I did that. And it's like, oh, I used to do it for free. Now I get paid all this money from all these ads and the software to go do this. It makes a lot of sense. So I hope you're going to tell me, no, Paul, this is what I want to do. And I just want to build this out more and more.
It's honestly both because I think I'm just a very multidimensional being and I'm going to do so many different things in my life, but for right now, like this is my baby. I love it so much. And I'm just going to blast it off. And then whenever I get the hit to add in more things, create things, add more, I'm always going to keep doing that.
All right. So let's talk about the pitfalls of entrepreneurship. Since 2020, since you started this, was there ever a time you're like, oh boy, this is not going well? Or you just happen to be one of the lucky few that just went skyrocket and never looked back? Because right now with our company, we saw a huge surge in 2 years. And then with ours, we do a lot of investment stuff. Well, the market was down last year. So overall finance was down. We were still up, but we weren't up as much as we were the year before. So it's kind of like we had a slowing down of our growth. So, for you, is there ever a time you're like, oh my God, what just happened? I think I made the wrong decision.
Honestly, the business has been just
the
most graceful thing to grow. I think for me, the quote unquote struggle would have been before I started it.
Of course.
Because I had to work on myself a lot to get myself to a place where I would dance on the internet to a left function because most people do not wake up like that. So it took a few months of hardcore working on me. I was just heads down at my corporate job, living in my parents' house, buried in student debt, barely used social media, had zero self-confidence, would have never posted myself. I had to do a lot of work on me. So for me, by the time I cleared that shit out and then I got on the internet, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And I feel from that's how I grew the business out of all inbound leads. Every press outlet I've been in, every podcast, every corporate client has all come to me. So I've just been in that space where I could project that out and everything kind of just flows.
So you don't have a PR person?
That is incredible. Oh, no. Absolutely incredible.
I've been
insane.
in 50 global news outlets from Forbes.
Well, CNBC. I mean, CNBC alone. I'm where
they reach out.
I'm really reading this article, and by the way, I sent you the email 3 minutes after I read the article. I was just like, yeah, we need this person on the show. I'm like, this person needs to be on, and we're in the same world of teaching, obviously different things, but it's for us, like I said. Last year was lower growth and it was kind of but we know why. We see why, but it's just, Excel is wonderful.
And it's something you sell a product that a lot of people truly need. And that's the amazing thing. I mean, when you go to corporate, how many times would you, in the past, go on Indeed.com and look and say, Microsoft Office is required to be in this,
whatever
in this
that even
role.
means, like
whatever it means. But I mean, some people are going to go out or that corporate's going to say, hey, we're going to train you in Microsoft
and I assume you're like
Office.
Microsoft certified of some sort. Is that even a thing?
Yeah, some people do things like that. And I mean, I work with Microsoft, so I'm a Microsoft MVP now. So
of course.
I
So
chat with the teams at Microsoft a lot. I'm always learning about the new products that come up and things like that. I'm in their creator program. So now there's like 40 of us Excel influencers, and they built a little community around us, which has been awesome to like meet all the other people doing the same thing.
Okay.
It's been cool.
So what makes you different than the others?
I think it's just the element of fun that I bring to the content. Yeah, because it's one of those things that if you are not bringing like 110% level energy, it can come off dry.
Well, and because it's Excel.
Well, I'll tell you what, the reason I've never been big on Excel is because it's boring as hell. And I'm just like, I could probably find a way to use a couple of functions. I'll Google it when I need to and move on, because this is as bone dry as it gets.
And I think bringing the fun to it's what really makes the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like a fun corporate event. It's something that's going to help people, but then I also light people up in the session and empower them and give them the confidence to like test these things out, get promotions, get raises at work, like, and then seeing people's lives change, and then they get hyped up and they share it with their friends. And it kind of creates this whole thing of everyone being a better version of themselves.
So do you do any live seminars that are not just one corporation focused? Like, will you put out an event in, say, where you're at in Arizona, and people from all over the country can fly there and do a day event or something like that?
I don't do those in person, but I do webinars. So I'll get like 20,000 people register, and I jump on live and I host these big events. So I do that every month. I do that with affiliates. And then in person, I also do like keynote speaking. So I'm speaking at like Social Media Marketing World in a couple months, like big conference. So I started doing more of like motivational keynotes as an in-person thing.
So basically she's doing everything I want to do, but she did it all naturally without having to work. I shouldn't say that, without having to hire a PR person or anything like that.
And absolutely no struggle at all.
Like, this interview is over. We hate you. No.
It's impressive.
Because it's funny you said the mindset thing, because I'm very big on mindset. I always tell people investing is 90% mindset, emotion, and temperament, 10% numbers. But people think it's the exact opposite. My brother's upstairs right now crying about our investment account, even though the market's up because of our investments. We better get. Anyways, the bottom line is, I'm like, Mikey, just relax. Don't worry about it. He's like, I can't believe you're like, I'm like, okay, I'm having a record loss today and I'm just not phased at all. But other people get it. And I want to teach that mindset to people and life. And just the fact that you said, I worked on myself a lot in my 20s. I didn't have the confidence to do what I do now. And, now over time, I just brainwashed myself. I've been telling people I'm active in therapy and I do a very good job with it. I'm like, and you're doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, nobody's reached out to me and said, but you know why? I think yours is much more unique. Every idiot out there with a microphone says they're an investing guru.
Just turn on YouTube.
Yeah, nobody claims to be an Excel guru, and here she is. You found a very niche market, and that's awesome, absolutely incredible. So let me ask you this question: it's something you said. Were you embarrassed to tell people you were doing the Excel thing when you quit your job? Or were you kind of like how was it? Because you said something like, well, I'm going to start my own company, but you didn't elaborate on that. Was that something that's some source of insecurity for you?
No, for me, it was interesting though, because half of my securitizations group knew I had the TikTok, but didn't tell me they knew. Like they secretly, like I knew they knew, but they weren't like, hey, you're on TikTok. They were like, oh, cute, like whatever. And didn't know I was making money. And the other half didn't even know what it was. So, it was like me calling up every one of my 15 managers being like, hey, Steve, do you know about me on the internet? Like it was just it was the wildest day of my life. Like I'll never forget this day because I didn't know what day I was going to quit. It was like a Friday morning. It was 10 a.m. I woke up, I made some waffles. I'm like, I'm going to quit my job today.
Wow.
And I just I'd never quit a job before. This is the one place I had interned. I'd worked there for 4.5 years. I just made manager. They were trying to train me up to be a manager. And meanwhile, in the back of my head, I'm like, I got to get out of here. I didn't want to ruin my brand either. Right. Like I was always giving 110% at work. I did all these extra things for the company. Like I didn't want to be a shitty manager. I was like, that is not my game. So I knew it was going to have to happen soon. And yeah, I got on there and I did the classic where you like ping your managing director, like, hey, can we talk? And I'm like, he knows it's coming because I knew he knew about it. And I was like, so I think I need to try this full time. And they were so supportive. Like,
oh, that's
every
great.
single person I told was like, go get it. And then a few months later, it blew up in the media and then blew up online. Like everybody kind of understood why I did what I did. But at first, like it was probably people were scratching their heads like on an HR perspective. Then they hired me back as a vendor, and now I teach Excel there to all their new hires, interns. It's awesome.
Full circle.
What can you name the company you're at, or no, you don't want to name it? Okay, gotcha.
It's an amazing place to start your career.
Well, clearly, I was just going to say they're very supportive of you and brought you back. So I want to give a little positive PR for them. So a little beef between Mo and I. He gets recognized a lot more in public than I do. And it makes me sad sometimes. I'm just kidding. But do you get recognized like, as Miss Excel in public when you go out like, oh, somebody's like, oh, I see you on TikTok.
I do. I mean, it happens, and I love it though. Like I had a really good one the other day. I'm out in Sedona, and Sedona's a small town, so I was like wandering around. This girl like stopped. She was like, "Oh my gosh!" And we were like hugging and talking for a while. And then what happens to me a lot though is like a lot of my following's in New York, and when I go to weddings, a lot of times once the night goes on, people get a little drunk. Then toward the end of the night, I have a lot of people coming up to me.
Really?
Yeah, it's usually at weddings. It's like friends of friends of friends, like people I don't know, but they'll come up at the end of a wedding usually.
I just followed you on TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok.
Almost 825,000 followers, friends, whatever you call them.
TikTok's my biggest following, but I'd say like Instagram, I'm on probably the most, or I just started YouTube Shorts. Twitter, I've been getting into more. LinkedIn, I'm Kat Norton on LinkedIn. I do a lot of cool stuff on LinkedIn now too.
Yeah. So, you said that you do a webinar and you get 20,000 signups. That's incredible.
Yeah. That's like what I'll do is I'll host multiple days. So like, cause you could like crash the system. So I'll usually set up 3 for me. I set up a couple for my affiliates where he's been filling them super quickly. And between the 2 of us, we like host these big, and what I'll do is I'll rent a house out in Scottsdale with super fast Wi-Fi because I live up in the mountains. It could get a little dicey. So I rent a house, I stack them like 2 or 3 a day. And I'll just like go off and like host these big events. And then at the end, we typically will mention the courses and sell them at the end and be like, hey, like if you learned a lot today, we did like a 45-minute power packed Excel training. If you picked up some things, you like my teaching style, you got a taste of it, you want to come in, join us. And then that's where the sales come in. So
if you get 20,000 people sign up, I'm sure not all of them come on. How many sales, not dollar amount, like how many sales are you getting from those webinars?
I mean, it depends on each one because we break them out usually into like 5 or 7. Usually we get like a few hundred though on each, depending on the courses. And then most of them are my highest ticket where we put.
Tim, we got a lot to talk. We got a lot to talk about. Seriously. Maybe Kat needs to teach us some of these other things. I mean, this is because it's amazing. We talk about things and we do investing is a very important thing. And I don't know if you've watched any of our videos, but I'm a very process-driven person, and we are, like you said, you're very exciting. I can be exciting as well. My excitement tends to be much more, how do I put it? Abrasive, threatening, but it's fun. Like the other day I said, one of my things, so the other day, if I can give you an example, and you've said shit a couple of times, so I'm sure you're okay with this. Yeah. People say Tesla is not a car company. So my joke was, and this came off the top of my head, I said, listen, if your mom gets paid for sex, she's a whore. I don't care if you call her president of the United States, a doctor, she's a whore at the end of the day. So that's my point. Like I'm abrasive like that, but I'm not, our viewers are 96% men. When I do that, I get messages on Instagram, Twitter, all these things like, I can't believe that was awesome. I'm so happy you said that. Like we just recently, so I look at it going, that's the excitement we bring, plus a better process. A lot of our competition, quote unquote, are just idiots who happen to do 1 or 2 videos that did very well, and that's it. Yeah. And it's like you're clearly knowledgeable in Excel, but everybody thinks that just as somebody's on YouTube, it makes. And I always say, just because I'm on YouTube doesn't make me an expert. Learn the process, etc. So that's why I like what you're doing. But man, it's just like, and obviously with her personality, CNBC wants to interview her and not me. They're probably like, you're an a-hole, Paul. Yeah.
She's very nice.
That's just why I like to think that people don't say people won't say hi to me in public, probably because they think I'm just mean. You're gonna kill them. I'm hoping that's the reason why, because it really hurts my ego. And my poor fiance is like, why aren't you recognized, Paul? No, I'm just kidding. So your website's miss-excel.com, am I right?
Yes, MISS-Excel, EXCEL.com. That's where we got information about corporate trainings. If you're listening to this and you're like, Kat, this sounds awesome. I want to bring you in for my company. I want more info to send to HR. Shoot us an email up there. We have a little corporate button. And then all my courses are there as well. Yeah, and guys, if you or somebody needs to learn Excel, I mean, this is the way to do it. It's way better than going into a place. This is way better. I have gone to YouTube in the past, especially when I was in college and stuff, to
watch a video on Excel, and they are so boring.
Yeah.
So boring.
That's the thing.
So
like if
this
you're
brings
going to
the
spend
spice.
8 to 12 hours investing in yourself in a skill, I want you to be entertained. Like
Right.
I don't want you actually like just dozing off and playing on your phone and not actually paying attention because then you're wasting your time, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I put in so much work to make the courses entertaining. Like I'm taking you outside into the desert. We're doing like hiking boot examples. Like I bring like cool examples into all my courses so that
Can't
you're
wait to see
actually
this.
entertained. It's like watching a show,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's not something that's boring and you wouldn't pay attention. Because at that point, it's like, why would I make a course if no one's going to watch, you know?
No, 100%. And you're going to get way more repeat business from people saying, oh, I had fun learning from her. Let me do it. You know, so I'm an avid chess player. And 10 years ago, I hired a chess coach.
Oh.
And when I say it was the most boring, I felt like a Russian gymnast. Like every time I made a mistake, no. And he was like pounding his fist. And I'm like, okay, we're done here. Like I did 3 lessons and I'm done. Fast forward 3 or 4 years later, I said, you know what? I really want to take chess seriously. I found a coach and he's now one of my best friends. He's one of Mo's best friends. He lives in Minnesota, but it's fun for me. And I've been doing 3 lessons a week since April of 2016. And I say that to say like, you have to find the right person to teach you also, because that'll motivate it even more. So Miss Excel, Kat, go, please. Trust me, everybody needs to get better at Excel. Everybody in this world needs to get better at Excel.
Except for her.
Except for her, probably. But
I'm always still learning too. I'm always putting a lot of time and effort into, so I'm always on the cutting edge with this stuff and know all the new things coming out. I'm always researching too.
So how do you do like YouTube, or how do you research more things coming out on Excel?
I talk with Microsoft a lot.
She calls Microsoft.
Okay, that's right. You and Bill Gates are
Bill,
like this.
what's the new function?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kat, thanks very much for coming on the show. Guys, please follow her on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and go check out her site and please buy her stuff. I get nothing from that. We get nothing from that. We're not pushing it for that reason. This is purely for Kat. We like to interview people just because they're impressive. And Kat, you're more impressive than I thought you were going to be. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. You two are amazing.
Thanks,
well,
Kat.
I don't know about amazing, but thank you.
Thank you. I'll take it. Have a great
And
day.
hilarious. And
Oh,
hilarious.
thank you.
Very entertaining.
I'll tell my fiance that. Thank you very much,
See you,
Kat.
Kat. Thank you.
Thank you.